What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. I'm Clark Taylor. It is Tuesday, April 30th, fresh off of Monday Night Raw, night 2 of the draft. Draft season's over. Obviously, the NFL draft's over as well, but we're going to break it all down. We had a fun Raw. We had a fun Mailbag Monday yesterday, but today is Tuesday, and you know what that means. From the DMV, I've got the Tuesday Night Delight for the first of a doubleheader this evening. How are you, Shaddy?
What's good, my dude? I'm doing well, man. It is the end of draft season. More importantly, the NFL draft. My Philadelphia Eagles doing their thing. Salute to the new guys on the team: Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalix Hunt, Johnny Wilson, Anais Smith, and the other dudes we drafted. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, man. And Howie we trust.
It was a heck of a draft. There's no doubt about that. I'm still pretty hyped about Worthy, though, myself. I can't lie. We needed
Oh
a
yeah,
speedster, and we got one over here in Kansas
beat
City.
name, man. That was a nice pick.
Absolutely, though. But up next, we've also got the man in the suit across the pond, host of the Soul Sessions, Soul.
Yes, it's me, the part-time assistant, because the real double headers are here today. They'll be doing off the air after this in a couple of hours. So I respect them for being hard workers as they are. Yes, it's WWE draft. Things happened. People got switched to some brands, some for the better, some for the absolute worst. We'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, let's get into the old draft, shall we?
Absolutely. Let's talk about it. We've already got over here in the comments on Instagram from 4for4.vntg, Fly Eagles Fly. Shout out. Absolutely. A lot of Eagles fans. Gotta love
Go
that.
Birds!
Wow, I didn't realize Americans were such bird lovers. I mean, do you guys like sparrows and pigeons too, or what?
I mean, the bald eagle is
Bald
America's
eagle.
bird, bro. What do you mean?
Hey! My country's national animal is a unicorn. So I'm just saying.
That's interesting. With a horn?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can't really have one without a horn. That'd be odd. But let's get into the draft. Let's talk about it. I thought last night was an improvement upon the SmackDown version of the draft, or the SmackDown portion of the draft slightly. We saw a little more action, but I was slightly underwhelmed. I think a lot of the complaints, though, come from the draft's history. It's been kind of botched or ignored in past years. So there's a lot of assumptions being made. But overall, the rosters came out pretty even. So I'm cool with it at the end of the day. Move on, see what happens from here. But Shad, I got to get your opinion on it. Interested to hear your thoughts.
I think everybody online is overreacting in regards to the WWE draft. I'm hearing people say that this is another step backwards, that the draft doesn't matter, that this is the worst draft. These overreactions need to calm down. I don't know if we're on recency bias just because WWE has been producing incredible programming these last few months coming out of Mania season, but this draft did what this draft needed to do. They needed a hard reset and reestablish the rosters, and they needed to add more balance to the rosters. Was it a spectacle? No. Was it, I guess, not as entertaining? No, but it's still a television show. We're not in the same breadth of drafts as we were 20 years ago when we had the Bischoffs and the Vince versus Flair and all of that. It's a lot different now. And I thought it served its purpose. I liked the sports centric backstage with them having draft rooms kind of similar to the NFL draft. It being coincidentally the same weekend as the NFL draft, I thought that was a nice touch to it. But it did what it needed to do, man. People, y'all want surprises, y'all want major changes. It's making me feel like y'all just want Raw roster to wrestle on Friday and then Friday's roster to wrestle on Monday. Can't do that. You can't make major changes, and we should have expected this to happen when they made the big name that champions are going to stay on the rosters minus the women's tag titles. Once you knew that happened, you knew those wrestlers were staying, and you knew any storyline that was centric to them was probably going to stay as well. So I don't know if people just got their hopes super up, but I thought it did its job. I think the rosters itself super balanced. Raw needed more depth in the women's division. They got that. You add star power with damage control. Io, Kyrie, Asuka, and Dakota Kai are all women that can be on your main event picture on Monday Night Raw. With a Becky Lynch, with a Liv Morgan, with a Rhea Ripley, fresh new matchups. You add a lot of young talent to it. I think the call-ups were brilliant. Lyra, you and I, Clark, talk about her
Yep.
weekly. We adore her. Even though my jokes aside with the Tatum Paxley stuff, I think she's an incredible talent, and I think she has a high potential on the main roster. You got other people like Dijak returning, right? That's a mid card, borderline. If you book them right, main event guy on Raw, IC division. Who knows? SmackDown, they keep their stars that they have already. Cody's got rotation of people that he can go against. Bianca stays. Bailey's already there. Jade stays. I mean, Baron Corbin is at it. Just another guy like Dijak. I think the rosters have assembled itself to be a lot more great, and I think this is a good start for the year as we go into these pay-per-view seasons. And yeah, I'm not overly insulted about it. I don't think it was the best stuff. We haven't got like amazing shockers or anything like that, but it doesn't bother me that much.
I hear you for sure. And I totally get that perspective. And Josh Markowitz also agrees. He said, did its job for sure. I agree, Shad. Um, for me, I feel like there was kind of a simple solution. You could have had it play out the exact same way, but having the pools for each night, I think hurt it. It would have felt more unpredictable if you could just take anyone, maybe but Roman Reigns or
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, like
No.
allow Roman to do that part, but
hmm
have it be completely wide open, like it could be anyone. And I think that would solve a lot of the issues that people, and myself included, had with this year's draft as far as predictability is concerned, right? Because
No,
to
I
your point, the
understand
rosters
that.
are great. I just thought from an entertainment value standpoint, there was a way to make the draft itself more entertaining. And that would be my only complaint. So I know I got to get your opinion on this, because if I heard it correctly on the pre-show, you might be on the other side of the fence when it comes to this equation. So I got to ask you your thoughts on the draft as a whole, and especially last night's part of it, night two.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the fence. I can see the cracks in the wood already. I'll say some things firstly positive as well. I like the stars from NXT that have been brought to the main roster. You know, you mentioned Lyra and Carmelo Hayes, Dijak, all these people, and Blair Davenport as well. It feels like they've picked the people who have achieved some things in NXT, but can now achieve more in the main rosters. I think that part absolutely fine there. The entertainment aspect of the draft is not very entertaining when you've just got people coming out and reading stuff on a card that could have just been announced on Twitter, or it could have been done on the bump, or it could have been done on like a network well, obviously the network's still here in the UK, like a network special, right? This could have easily just been a whole Netflix special thing that could have been done online or something like that, and they didn't really need to eat up TV time for what it was, right? I think the draft is far more entertaining when you've got like the roulette or the digital board of like that anticipation and hype, because just waiting to hear somebody read off a card, it's not entertaining. But when you've got like that glitz and glamour, hey, WWE, you made a lot of money in WrestleMania 40. How about you use some of that? There's plenty of money to spare around, and just make it more entertaining. Now, my main problem with the draft is how WWE have always meant and gone in this new era of it, saying NXT is a third viable brand. We've seen main roster stars go down. Some have won championships, like the New Day and Becky Lynch. But why was it just kind of Raw and SmackDown? You've done 4 a slot. You could easily have done 1 for Raw, 1 for SmackDown, 1 for NXT, and then maybe whoever needs an extra one for the roster, because obviously Raw's 3 hours, they could have taken that 4th spot. Because there's people on the main roster that I honestly think should go down to NXT and reinvent themselves. Like Natalia. Have people like honestly the Pride. I would move the Pride down there in the Final Testament, because they're not really killing it on the main roster, which is a shame when you've got like the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley and AOP who have came in and are not really making an impact on anything. I mean, also like Imperium as well, with Giovanni Vinci being kicked out, and now he's drafted the other brand, so that's not a feud that's going to happen. Like he's not going to get his revenge for being out kicked out of a stable group that he's been with for nearly a decade odd. Okay, fine then. Why? I do like the idea of like the champions being protected, right? That I absolutely get, and I think is fine. I do think it adds a bit more, of a prestige and all that. But then what's going to happen like 6 months down the road, right? Are these pay-per-views now going to be brand exclusives? Are we going to now have, to make the championships feel more important for your represented brand? Are we going to get double Money in the Banks back? One for Raw, one for SmackDown, one for the women's as well. Are we going to get that to actually make the belt seem like important? And if you're on SmackDown, you're going to see that. If a SmackDown star wins the Money in the Bank briefcase, as we've got right now, they could just go and be like, oh, I'm going to go challenge for the Raw belt. Do they now take the Raw belt with them to SmackDown? Or are they immediately drafted to Raw? I felt like the draft in itself, the whole concept was very important and feasible and plausible from the early 2000s to 2011, I want to say, when they had the double Money in the Bank briefcase and they had 2 world titles that were actually well and established. Now, of course, we've got the current World Heavyweight Championships, which is only in its 3rd champion right now. Seth has done an exceptional job to establish that belt for Raw. Drew, he's going to be an amazing champion again for that belt, keeping away from CM Punk, which is what he should do in his birthright. Hopefully, Damian Priest can make something off this belt as well, but is he just going to have a short reign? Because honestly, Clash the Castle in Scotland, Drew's not just going to be in some IC or US title match. He's going to be in a main event match for a world championship. Even if it's the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship, he should be in that kind of program because he honestly does deserve it. But yeah, the draft is gonna just disappear in 6 months. People are gonna cross over. We're gonna get the superstar shakeups, the wild card rules. All that's just gonna come back because what's the point in a brand split and a brand roster when you don't have all the feasible elements to help thrive it with the double Money in the Bank briefcase, with brand selected pay-per-views? Like, you're trying to make it be like, oh, one person should watch Raw or one person should watch SmackDown because that roster is killing it and doing their own things, right? Like the live event tours they do back in the day, there would be a Raw circuit, there'd be a SmackDown circuit.
Right.
They would be doing their own things. That's not really what we get now. It's a mixture of things. Like I mentioned again, Clash. Clash can have a SmackDown show and then Clash the Castle. You're not telling me it's just going to be SmackDown superstars, right? You're going to have Raw people there as well being represented. Like Gunther's on Raw, who's a former NXT UK World Championship. He's definitely coming over for that. You're not just going to have. I just think they've just done it because was it NFL or NBA
NFL draft? Yeah, the NFL draft was this weekend.
Yeah, it's to piggyback off that and make it feel more sportsy as well. If it works and gets viewership and attention, that's fine. Hey, if it works, it works. Don't fix what's broken. Right. I just think for the now, yeah, I agree. People are overreacting a wee bit as well, but the thing is, it's going to be pointless in 6 months. So why get in a tizzy about it?
That's the issue. Is if in 6 months all of a sudden it's just a wash again, it's really kind of disappointing. Another thing that I would mention from the entertainment value standpoint, I think the most entertaining WWE draft we ever had was the one old school one way back in the day where all the superstars were sitting backstage. Undertaker, remember, stormed out when he got drafted because he was mad. It's like that was really entertaining and classic because it was like seeing all of them in the locker room just was cool, and the reactions to each.
Did that with NXT yesterday.
They did do it with NXT.
That was wholesome, like seeing Lyra.
That was really cool.
Yeah, but that's tied to being sports centric, though. That's tied.
Very true.
You see that in the NFL. These guys are sitting in the area with their families, and they're having that genuine, reaction to it. Even it being called with names. That's how drafts are within sports as well. I mean, I've been watching drafts since I was 8, 9 years old, glued to my TV on weekends, waiting for the commissioner to call the people's names. I feel like that's the fun part of it. And to y'all's point in regards to the third brand aspect of it, I don't disagree with you per se, but it's also that it is a development brand. They have a lot of talent that's green. If you open the entire pool, why would it make sense to draft? I don't want to bash nobody, like an OTM or whatever, Brindley Reese or somebody like that.
Yeah,
right.
Somebody really inexperienced.
It wouldn't make sense at that magnitude. What I thought that you could do in kind of that, let's do the draft, right? They have all the rounds on the thing. There's that supplemental round. Open the supplemental round to NXT.
Yeah.
Let them get a pick in the supplemental round. Let them pick a Odyssey Jones or an Apollo Crews or a Tegan Knox or somebody like that who doesn't get picked on the first round of people, right? Let them get the first round of the supplemental draft, like which the NFL also does
Exactly.
have.
Like there's people
That would've been cool.
who've been released like in the last week, or like Cameron Grimes. He would have absolutely benefited maybe being
Yeah.
brought back down to NXT, re looking at himself, re-establishing himself and being something new as well. Like Jinder Mahal and all that as well. Like there's people up there in the main roster that are just sitting there being chucked on rubbish television, like WWE Speed, winning a belt that looks like the Impact belt with a Global Force
I
sticker
don't
on it.
I don't disagree with that, but we also don't know why they were released.
It's true.
So
I
I don't know the politics of that. I don't want to speculate
True.
why they weren't released.
I really wish they would have done like an Aaron Rodgers slipping storyline. Like somebody going later in the draft than they think they should, and they keep putting the camera on them backstage.
You
Like,
know what?
why am I
You
not
know
getting picked?
you
That would have been
you
awesome.
you know what would be a dope storyline? Mr. or Mrs. Irrelevant.
Yes.
Last pick of the WWE
Yes.
draft uses that as momentum and goes
Oh,
on a monster
yes.
run. What B Priestley, Mrs. Irrelevant, goes on a monster run,
Yes.
plays that underdog story like the Brock Purdy of the WWE.
Totally, totally. Yeah. So I don't know if you 100% get that reference, but like in the NFL draft, the very last pick they call Mr. Irrelevant. But like famously, a lot of times they end up being a better player than you would expect. Well, at least Brock Purdy is. I mean,
Well,
he,
speaking
Yeah,
something about that,
yeah,
I would love to see
the
Blair
guy made the Super
Davenport
Bowl.
win the belt off like Bailey or something like that, or Becky. You know, I think
yep.
that would be exceptional for her to do, and you know, kind of be like, yeah, you picked me last or whatever it was, and now I'm going to step up and prove myself. Like I'd be fine with that.
I think it'd be really cool. That'd be a
That,
fun.
yeah,
There's a
that's
lot of different things that they could do, but at the end of the day, like you said, Shad, they got the rosters pretty dang right. They're pretty darn good. Like
yeah.
other than Vinci, the one that you mentioned is the most mind-numbing one to me, Soul. Though that's the only one that I'm like, what?
No, there's no payoff to that, and that's kind
Yeah,
of lame. I agree with that. I don't know. They see him as a single star. I thought I liked him in NXT when he did the single star stuff personally,
I
but
kind of did too.
there's other ways you could have got to that than him just getting beat down and then
Demolished.
Say
talk
this there. I'll
about it.
quickly say there. If I, you know, if I had pen to paper and how I book it, have them on the same brand, do a little rivalry with Kaiser and
Yeah.
Vinci's getting it. Then have Vinci dragging off against Gunther and what's his other name? What's the guy's name? The other one in
Oh,
Imperium.
Ludwig Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser. Have that as a tag team match at Clash or the show after that. Then Bash at Berlin. If you can't put Gunther in a world title match or something like that, have that be like Dragunov and Gunther like free, and then do Ludwig Kaiser versus Vinci as a single match on Berlin. Like you could, I just worry for Vinci. Like I honestly worry, like is he
Same.
really going to get a fair shot as a single star?
Yeah, I totally agree. We've also got a few comments here. We got Andy Wen with some interesting NXT stars drafted to Raw and SmackDown. I agree. And then David Modge added, I like that they said the voice of the voiceless for CM Punk's draft pick. I mean, I thought it was cool because you don't hear him say it all the time. So I dug
I
that.
thought you retired that, buddy, but apparently not.
I did too, personally, actually, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about a match, though. Let's talk about Sami Zayn, Intercontinental Champion, against Bronson Reed. Shenanigans. We had shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
DQ finish. He gets the win, but Chad Gable on the attack, the interference. Shot, dude, what did you think about this match? And Gable versus Zayn is a way more fun rivalry than I anticipated.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where I think a lot of people were waiting and hoping for Chad Gable to beat Gunther, and we didn't get that. We got the pivot with Sammy being the person, and still keeping Gable within the storyline, and then obviously him turning on Sammy, and we are here right now. And I find it more interesting because a couple reasons. One, I said it a few weeks ago. I think there's more shelf life in Chad Gable as a heel and as a serious character than it was as a babyface doing the Alpha Academy silly stuff. And two, I think these two just have great chemistry. They're borderline wrestling soulmates in regards to what they can do in storytelling as well as in ring capability. And I thought it was a nice touch to it. I'm not a huge fan of DQ finish matches, but it adds an extra layer to it, right? We got to peel back layers and extra layer to it because We also got Bronson Reed, who was also within the storyline, and I would assume is going to be a triple threat match between these guys. It makes sense. I don't think Sammy and Gable need to run it right now. I assume Gable would probably be the guy to beat Sammy just because he does deserve the Intercontinental title. But we get to this triple threat match. It's gonna be an exceptional match. Obviously, all three guys are super talented, but I'm enjoying it, bro. I like Chad Gable in this heel role. I like Sammy attacking him, getting in his lick back initially backstage, but Gable one up in Sammy once again, Madman, and then Reed stepping in. It's a fun intercontinental division right now. I like the wrestlers tied to it because I think it's an amazing balance of being great characters, but also being sensational in-ring competitors as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know what you mean for sure there. Let's though talk about our partners over at Next Level. We can't go without doing it. If you haven't already checked it out, this app is awesome. No gimmicks, no nothing. We got cool giveaways. They got an awesome wrestling community. And more importantly, it's super user friendly and convenient. To find all the content you need, go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all of our content across all platforms linked all in one place. Free to download. No gimmicks, no nothing. Don't even worry about it. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. I was so excited. As a Chiefs fan, gotta love Pat in the building. David Modge in the comments already with I like that Pat Mahomes gave Logan Paul his Super Bowl rings. I thought it was hilarious.
Pat
Logan,
Mahomes is a heel, Clark.
I know. You win that much, that's what it's going to be, though. I mean, it is what it is. Braun Strowman returns. We looking at Logan and Braun. That is a wild matchup. I'm just saying, like, is that possible? But let's get into it. So I'm going to ask you your thoughts first. Obviously, you're not the football fan necessarily, but Patrick Mahomes, man, big appearance.
Who? Who?
He's the quarterback of the Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs.
He has quarter of a back. Oh, that poor fellow. Good God. Look, this is just going over my head, so I'm going to talk about Braun. Braun, it's good to have him back. He is definitely a misfelt presence on WWE television. Looks amazing as well. Now, I think a lot of people were really like puzzled because he thought, oh, he's Wyatt 6 or Wyatt 5. He should be doing this and this and this and that. See, here's the thing. I don't think Wyatt 6 is like a stable or a group. I think Wyatt 6 is going to be a principle. It's going to be like 6 laws you have to follow, or like what Uncle Howdy's going to follow while being on the main roster. Like, maybe teachings of Braid or something like that he'll follow while roaming around the main roster. For Braun, though, I would think it'd be absolutely hilarious if he just squashes Logan Paul in 3 minutes at Saudi. Like, Logan tries to do a buckshot lariat, Braun just choke slam him, 1, 2, 3, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, go home and get paid. But yeah, I mean, I do just wonder though, will Braun get, is he a heel or a face? That's something I actually kind of wondered myself. Will he be a WWE champion eventually and finally? I know he was a former Universal champion. I don't know. I kind of wouldn't mind, if he wanted to do Wyatt stuff again in honor, and that's what he felt comfortable doing. I wouldn't love to see Rowan come back and them as a tag team, maybe have that added heel presence onto the Raw roster with a tag team division, or just a strong upper mid carder. Yeah, I mean, cool. I mean, hey, he had more of a presence than this Mahomes guy, so good, well played there.
I don't know about that, Soul. Mahomes has a presence, especially in KC. Absolute legend there.
It was also cool seeing them do the little tribute to the child who obviously had the unfortunate circumstance in the shooter.
Yeah.
It was very cool
doing that for him. Yeah, but yeah, Jalen Hurts is the baby face, and he'll get his story finished at a Super Bowl one day.
I'm a huge. I don't have a bad thing to say about Jalen Hurts. That guy's a stud. If we didn't have Patrick Mahomes, that's who I would want to be our quarterback of all the other 31 starters in the league. I'll fully say that.
Pat is Roman and Jalen is Cody. That's how
pretty much. Yeah. But Pat's like prime Roman. That's the thing, right? Like he's not done yet. That's the thing. That's the only caveat. Okay, also, Wild match in the women's division. Well, not necessarily wild, but a cool match. Liv Morgan back in the title picture in my mind against Nia Jax and gets the W. I thought Liv looked excellent last night. Shad, do you agree?
Yeah, man. I like, first and foremost, the first segment between Liv, Becky. I thought it was a good exchange to kind of progress the storyline between both of them. I like Liv telling Becky that if I did what you couldn't do, I'm the one who was able to take Rhea Ripley out. You couldn't even beat her at Mania. Thought it was a good exchange. Nia having her last, swan song in Raw before she goes to SmackDown. And I thought it was a good match. I think Liv Morgan is a better heel than she is a babyface. And I think it comes more natural. I think her kind of just being deranged and looking for that title and by any means and going on this revenge tour. It's a good storyline and everything's solid to it. Um, a lot going on in this match in regards to what happened outside. Obviously, as a Tiffany Stratton truther here, I was happy to see her presence and her and Naomi kind of extending their feud. Obviously, backlashes this weekend, and they kind of teased a little bit of an alliance with Tiffany and Nia on Friday, so it kind of bled through and worked together. But it was a good match. I'm curious to see what the direction is for the women's main event picture as we go throughout this week's, because is Liv and Becky kind of the immediate match after Backlash? Is it the match at Clash? Obviously, Becky having ties, um, being from Ireland and it being overseas in Europe, does that make sense for them to have the match, or is it gonna be later because Liv is someone who I would assume probably beats Becky for that title because she should have the belt when Rhea returns, obviously with their feud being fresh. There's a lot of parallels to it, and it has me excited because not knowing exactly what's gonna happen has you excited as a fan. So all in all, good. And I will say this last tidbit: the match itself in ring was solid. It was decent, but it only confirmed to me that Becky Lynch was the right decision to be champion last week, because Becky Lynch, what she can do as a maestro in the ring with wrestlers, is something that's under the radar and underrated. And I don't know if Liv or Nia could have done that immediately having a belt.
I agree. And Becky versus Liv is a really fun matchup. And I actually don't mind if Liv ends up winning, but I agree that it was important that Becky's in this position because she can work with anybody. She's the can do it all, right? And that's just a major factor, especially on the short notice, given the unfortunate
Yeah,
injury
and
to Ripley.
it's so funny, bro, because like everybody on Twitter swears that Becky is not over and people are fed up with her, but I thought I heard last night fans chanting "You deserve it" when she was talking. Interesting. Maybe these
Yeah.
Twitter trolls are not the actual wrestling fan base that people think they are.
Got
I
him.
Just a
mean,
little
it might
tidbit.
be right for the
Oh
Shad,
yeah,
but
New York bestseller on her book too. I guess fans
yeah.
really must not support her.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
that's
mean,
why she the
Amazon
GOAT.
bestseller too, honestly. I think it's both.
hey,
Yeah.
Shad, I'm just saying, if Becky comes up to Voodoo Child next week on Raw, I mean, that'd be very funny, though. That'd be a nice way to wink at the internet crowd.
That would actually be kind of funny.
Yeah.
I can't lie. And Voodoo Child's a great song. But
Sure.
David Modge with Live Better Win It All before EST or Cargill wins the belt. I That's neither here nor there. That's a conversation for another time, I think. I hear you though. I like the role that Lives on right now, but I, EST Bianca Belair can win the
I,
title at any time.
that's the beauty of like having so many main event type talents though, because like you
Yeah.
can kind of plug and play anybody. I mean, think about it like this: I don't think Rhea was supposed to lose this belt. Like unfortunate circumstances happen. You're
So
able to
true.
plug and play off of people, and Bianca can win the belt, like you said, whenever she wants. I think her and Jade have other aspirations with this tag team
Right.
gold. And then I think there's a story to be told between those two ladies that doesn't need to have the belt.
100%. We've got Andy Wynn though in the comments as well with Sami Zayn, Bronson Reed, Chad Gable for the IC championship, at Backlash in France. I hear you there. I think we're all in agreement on that one. And then Chaos in the comments with Sup Gang. What's going on, Chaos? Good to have you.
Yes, the guy who failed the quiz. Good to see he's there and uses brush up on his quiz skills.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so let's talk though about your favorite. And I'm not talking about Drew McIntyre. I'm talking about CM Punk. I'm totally kidding. Let's talk about McIntyre and Punk. McIntyre chasing him down. I loved the image of getting up in the skybox in the suite and just having the 8x10. Oh, it was gold. That was so gold. So gold. The whole segment's great. I'm excited for Punk to get healthy because I think this match is going to be an absolute slugfest. I think they can get the best out of each other. I'm stoked for it. So I know you are our resident Drew McIntyre fan. What are your thoughts on last night's interaction between those two?
I think Drew McIntyre and CM Punk have the best story going on in the WWE at this moment. 100% believe that. Yes, above Cody, above anything else going on with Chad Gable and Sami Zayn. I truly think CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are the watch story right now in WWE. With that being said, with how much it's being showcased, Punk's not in a sling. Is it possible that Punk's ready to come back? I mean, we know it's Damian Priest versus Jay at Backlash for the World Heavyweight Championship. Is Clash of the Castle Scotland going to be Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest for the championship? Or is it going to be a freeway match for the World Heavyweight Championship? Because if it's a freeway, I could absolutely, and I would hate it, I could absolutely see CM Punk winning that championship in Scotland. I could absolutely see it. Oh. He wins that belt in Scotland just to piss us off. He wins that belt in Scotland, walks out with it. Drew's defeated in front of his home country people. I would then think at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship, that is a match that truly deserves a Hell in a Cell.
Oh,
at SummerSlam. If Punk is healthy and cleared, and he can take that championship out of Scotland, leaving Drew defeated once more, you got to do a Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam.
Why not?
Look, I want Drew to win in Scotland just so I can buy all the lovely merch. But I would not, this is the Scotsman saying, I would not be opposed to the idea of Punk taking that championship away from Drew in Scotland if it's right, if it's done well, just so we can get a Hell in a Cell match in the future.
I hear you there. I think it would be really funny and fun if that were the case, especially if he kind of steals it. So we get really, really heel Punk. It's almost like a double turn, too.
Yeah, I mean, if Drew was the Claymore Priest put on the cover, and then Punk pulls out the referee or something like that, screwing over Drew, and then Punk slides in, Boots or Bulldogs McIntyre, then puts on the Anaconda Vice on like a pastel Priest, so you just really cement it like, oh, Drew had him dead to rights.
Drew had him beat.
Yeah, and it's just Punk gloating because submission's the best way to gloat.
That is really fun.
I don't want that. Personally, I wanted to see Drew win it in his home country with all the people around them celebrating. Truly, I just want that. But then there's the cheeky side of me is like, well, that would be very entertaining to see Punk win and just screw everybody's dreams over.
Totally. Also, the idea of
it kind of plays to what happens with him. He always gets the short, end of the stick every single time.
It would be really fun. I mean, the idea of Punk also winning the title in his first trip back to the UK since All In is even more like in your face. Like that is, I didn't even think about that until that is even more like, right? Because there's that picture of him with the belt over his shoulder walking out like after his last match against Samoa Joe. And then he does the same thing, but with the WWE title in Scotland.
Or he jumped the barricade and blows Drew a kiss.
If you think about it money-wise, think about how much money they can make off CM Punk side plates.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, it all depends on his health, obviously, but that would be pretty dope. I I mean, I know a lot of people would be upset about that booking just
Oh, I would.
because
I would be very upset, and then think, well, it
you
was
wrote
kind of
it
good.
down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
It's hard because Drew, the big thing was that he lost to Roman last time, and a
yeah,
lot of people wanted him to get that moment.
yeah,
The difference is the character now, though. Drew is definitely a major heel on the WWE side, but it doesn't matter. He is going to get the most love he can get when he steps in that arena
for
at
sure.
Clash. So it's a dicey one that you can go either direction, and it wouldn't be a bad call either way.
Dad, my
It's
friend, the Hydro's going to implode. Everyone's going to throw their pints up in the air. The Buck Fast will be out. We'll be drinking
yeah,
that,
but Punk
celebrating our homeboy.
Punk's gonna get love out there. I think.
No,
I
he's
think
not. No, he's not. I honestly, I would bet on it if I would happily bet on it. I think Punk will get booed at Clash.
Ooh,
I think I think Punks will get booed at Clash. There will be Crimey a River chants. I think the Scottish crowd are fully going to go after Punk.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think
not
about
only
that.
has he screwed over our Scottish hero, I also
Yeah.
think the Scottish crowd kind of are smarky and all that in a way, and I think they will take any opportunity to lay in heavy chants at somebody. I think they'll do it to whoever on the card except Drew. They're gonna be brutal.
calling 50-50. I think half of that crowd is going to cheer for him because it's CM Punk at the end of the day, and wrestling fans love him.
I feel bad for Priest in all of this because it's so about Punk and Drew. That's the only
Yeah,
thing.
if this is the case, but regardless, if Damian Priest is on the bill and he has to either wrestle 3 of them or he wrestles Drew 1-on-1, he is going to lose his belt probably at Clash because. But this was kind of what was set to be for him, though. He was set
Yeah,
to be a transitional champion.
it's a
Unfortunately,
shame. It's a shame, but
he hasn't built enough steam to be a long-lasting champion character-wise prior to this, and he's had
Yeah, I agree.
gold for a minute as the tag team champion. So it's no love lost. Priest has been in a prominent position for the last over a year. He's been a tag champ. He's had the briefcase, and now he's a world champion.
I mean,
Like,
He's definitely been pushed.
in NXT, if I'm right,
yeah,
Shad.
and he's doing great too. And
He is.
he was the North American champ in NXT. Was he the NXT champ too? Right?
I don't.
Yes.
At one
Was he?
point, yeah, I believe
North American, at least. I don't think he was an NXT champ ever.
Nah, he wasn't NXT champion. He was the North American champ. They look both regimes. Vince's regime loved him. Hunter loves him the most out of anybody.
For
He's
sure.
well loved, and he's gonna be booked great for a minute. Like,
Yeah.
he ain't going nowhere. You
Yeah.
can have a short title reign, and you could eventually win the title back at some point. Like, we need different title reigns.
It's so true. It's so true. And I don't mind also like it not being a long reign, like you said, because we've had so many lately. Markowitz is over here in the comments, a good friend. Damian Priest is a workhorse, always has been, always will be, even at his time at the Monster Factory training. First one in, last one out of the building. Oh, that's cool insight because Josh Markowitz actually trains at the Monster Factory himself. That's awesome. Thank you for that, Josh. Speaking of Damian Priest, he's involved in our final segment. The main event of the evening, the Judgment Day against a weird team, but a cool match.
There is a title match for Damian Priest before Clash at the Castle, so he might not even be the champ.
He might not even be holding it at Clash. That's a good point.
We are booking way too far ahead, man.
That is a valid point. Okay, but we've got Andrade, Jey Uso, and Ricochet. Little thrown together, but whatever. Against the Judgment Day. Priest involved in this match. And I mean, Jey Uso gets the win with the splash. It was a really exciting 6-man tag match.
Yeah.
But was it really just all about Priest kind of separating himself from Balor and the rest of the Judgment Day? Is that what this was? I wasn't really sure what the point was other than to maybe get Jey Uso a win. I once again, I enjoyed the match. I just thought weird card placement on draft night and the timing and everything. I'm going to go to you first, Soul. What did you think about this main event match, and what does it mean for Jey Uso, if anything?
Oh god, this main event match reminds me of like what 2K24 is right now. It's so bugged it just throws any match together right now in your cards. So I mean that's what this felt like. I mean I would have done something entertaining. I would have had Priest defend this title in the main event and have it incorporated into the draft. Like like, I don't know, maybe the first pick to Raw gets an automatic championship match at the end of the night or something like that, so people are enticed to continue watching and see something like that. Just maybe have a bit more enticing, connective with things going on. But hey-ho. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, Jay, still popular as ever. I love to see. Ricochet, he's always been very reliable. Is he doing the best of his stuff in WWE? Personally, I think he would thrive in TNA with the X Division. Personally, I think that's where his real calling could be. But if he's happy in WWE doing what he likes to do, fair play to him. Judgment Day is Judgment Day. We're going to have Priest and Finn turn, and then Dominic's going to cry in the corner with Liv Morgan, because that's something that's apparently going to be spicy happening soon. Whoop-de-doo. Drama, melodrama. You got to love it. Then there's Andrade. What to talk about Andrade? Oh God. So I really liked Andrade in the past, right? When I went to Revolution 2022, I wanted him to beat Sammy for those TNT championships, because Sammy had two at the time, which was really stupid. Again, I wanted to see him as TNT champion, but I feel like since he's been in WWE, he was at the Rumble. He technically wasn't phased in for Mania. Then he was phased in for Mania, and it just felt like, okay, another match on the card. I don't think anyone really cared about the LWO Phantasma feud, which has been going on for nearly a year. We've now had Carlito turn on Ray, so Ray has no friends in his group chat now. And then Andrade, I just feel like, I don't feel like Andrade's taken as a big deal. Like, he's just a body. I feel like he's just a body you could throw in at the start or mid card, or have do some other things just to say you have a roster member. I personally like his style and theme in AEW more than his current WWE style. Maybe with the whole LWO Phantasma feud, when that eventually finally dies and is over, him and Zelina can pair again, because they do benefit one another very well. Look at the old NXT and his main roster run from before AEW. They were very good for what they were.
Right.
I'm just kind of not invested in Andrade as I much was before.
I totally understand where you're coming from. In some ways, he almost reminds me of Shinsuke Nakamura, because you want so much more for him. You could see so much more. You see the talent and all that, but they're just stuck in this middle.
It was like when Shinsuke was heel and he had that
zone.
incredible rendition of his theme. He
Yep.
felt like he was just there. And I feel like he is kind of like that now. Like, remember when Shinsuke had those excellent promos in Japanese against Cody, which had
they're great
visuals and everything, and then it felt like he was just something for Cody to do until The Rock came back and Roman in the Rumble, and now he's just in the vast knowledge of WWE's draft system.
Yeah.
I like, if he's getting paid and he's happy at the end of the day, good for him.
Absolutely.
But I'm just not invested.
Totally. I hear you. I got to ask you though, Shad, how did you like the match? Do you think Jey Uso is a legit main eventer though? I got to ask you that, because that was one thing last night I was starting to think, and I'm like, he's standing tall at the end of the show. Is he Priest's not next opponent, but a legitimate threat to take the title off of Priest? Is that possible? Or no? Is the main event Jey Uso thing just a gimmick?
He is without a doubt a main event talent. He should have been a person that you could argue taking the title off of Roman Reigns. He is a main event talent, whether people want to accept it or not, whether people are saying the stuff he does, his presentation, his slogan is annoying. That guy has an immense amount of charisma that a lot of other wrestlers do not have. He's able to keep the crowd engaged. If you let him talk, right? He's able to cut promos and cut promos well. He's well versed. He can be a great heel. He could be an incredible baby face you root for. Jey Uso is a main event talent. It's not just a moniker within his name. It's absolute facts. And I think he is a person that I thought should have been the champion to get it off of a Seth Rollins prior to Damian Priest cashing in. I think he's a person that you could put that belt on to that Raw roster. The reason why he was the first pick overall, right? And run with it. The dude is talented, man. And I think that the reason it doesn't come off as believable at this time is because this is a pay-per-view that is snap a finger right here after WrestleMania. We ain't have a lot of time to set this up. We having a lot of time to build within it, and that's kind of where we're at. It's a great card. The matches will be incredible, but you don't believe into it. So I hope he does get another shake at this opportunity down the road in this year, because I think Jey Uso is that caliber of talent. In regards to the match, I thought all of it did make sense. I thought Ricochet and Andrade have a storyline tied with the two members of Judgment Day with Finn and JD, and then obviously Jey Uso has a match with Damian Priest at Backlash.
Yeah.
You need to get some sort of heat for Jey Uso to go in there. Last night, did his numbers, stood tall, and looked like a stud that he is. I thought it was great for him. Fun 6-man match. All guys in the ring are incredible talent on the in-ring side. And I'm not stressing too much about the booking coming right after Mania when Backlash is literally a couple weeks after that. I think we can get booking for these guys sorted out. You know, it's a waiting process, right? Like you got to
Yeah.
let stuff play out within storylines. People can pick up heat and run with it quickly. Not every person can be a guy at all time frames. That's where wrestling becomes selfish in a sense, because
Mhm.
the best people are the people that can play multiple roles in the ring,
I
multiple
agree.
roles in character, right?
Versatility
And
is underrated.
versatility is extremely underrated. And that's where you see guys who are in high position now. They were being people taking mad L's prior to it.
It's true. It's
And
very true.
so yeah.
And things can change on a dime in wrestling. We always know that. I mean, look at the crazy runs we've seen Daniel Bryan back in the day, all kinds of stuff like that, right? You can elevate yourself very quickly in professional wrestling in a way that's I think unique to wrestling, and that's what makes it so fun. But with that, that does bring us to the end of the show. Thank you so much, everybody that tuned in. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. It means a ton to us. If you don't have Tuesday night plans, check us out tonight, immediately following NXT off the air. Me, Shad, Drizzy. It's going to be a fun Tuesday. Everybody have an awesome day, and we will talk to you guys soon.